Okay.
This is going to be rudimentary, but I'm going to do this because I feel like it will help people understand what it's actually like to pick a jury. And we're talking about the Karen Read case specifically, what we know from the first trial, what we know from the second trial. They have today what's called 2 in the box. We call the box, we lawyers, Catherine Loftus of No My Objection, the jurors in the box. So we have 2 as of right now. We know 1 is a man, 1 is a woman. That's all we know. Okay? That was, I believe, out of somewhere in the 80s and 90s, it was chosen today. So because this is a case that has such significant pretrial publicity, the court has to summons an exorbitant number of jurors to be able to get a fair and impartial jury. So what that means is that it's likely that we will go day by day and only get 1 to 2 possibly per day. The issue largely is not the question about whether people know about the Karen Read case or not. It's really about whether people have made a decision about it. Have they been following it? Can they still be fair and impartial despite having heard of it? And there are those people, they're just harder to find. So it's going to take some time. So as of right now, we have 2 here. How did we get here? Do we know how many they went through before they picked the man, how many they went through before they picked the woman? We don't know that. And what I wanted to talk a little bit about is like, how do we get to this number? So in Massachusetts in Superior Court, you have a jury of 12. In District Court, you have a jury of 6. And you can go up to 16. You can do 4 alternates in Superior Court. And they don't always do 4 alternates. However, on a case such as this, because it's going to be multiple months, it's high publicity, there is a higher chance that something could potentially happen with the jury, so you want to make sure you have enough. Now, what does that mean? That means that all 16 jurors who are chosen, everyone who fills one of these boxes, and they're all numbered seats. So we say like juror in seat number 4, juror in seat number 10, where you identify them as their seat numbers. So all of these jurors, all 16, will listen to all of the evidence. However, only 12 will deliberate. And remember, in order to prove somebody guilty beyond a reasonable doubt or not guilty, it has to be unanimous. Civil court is different. In criminal court, it has to be unanimous. So how do we choose who gets in these boxes, right? That's the most difficult part. So we heard a lot about the jury questionnaires. I can maybe do a video on that later. But basically, each of the parties goes through the questionnaires that each of the jurors has provided, and when they go up to sidebar individually, this is the individual voir dire. Voir dire is a questioning of. So when they go up to sidebar and each individual juror is there is basically a sort of like round table discussion between the judge, the Commonwealth, and the defense about what they think about the juror after the questions have been asked. Now, sometimes jurors are pretty, obvious which way they go, if you think they're good, if you think they're not, right off the get-go. Some jurors you have to like really pry it out of. Sometimes when you ask one question, it leads to another question. And so then what will happen is, say you feel like this juror, I don't want this juror on the jury, right? I don't think this juror is going to be good for me. However, you don't want to use one of your peremptories because you're limited in how many peremptories you can use. So what you want to do is you want to try to argue that they be struck for cause, okay? So we have 2 kinds of basically challenges to jurors. We have cause and we have peremptories, right? Peremptories, all these lovely Latin words. Us, e, omo, e, ormi, socis, right? So you can either do cause, unlimited. That would be like, I hate the police, I think anybody who drinks and drives is guilty. Like, these are people who are so clearly not able to be fair and impartial that they would violate the defendant, Karen Read's, constitutional right to a fair trial if you put them on. So these are unlimited. You can strike as many people for cause as you want. However, you have to convince the judge that there actually is cause. And a lot of times, you don't get it for cause, and then you have to decide, do I want to use a peremptory? The problem with I'm gonna check this and make sure I'm not going over. Hold on. Okay, good, 5. Oh, look at that, 5 minutes. The problem with using a peremptory is that you only have a limited amount. So in Superior Court, in a life felony, that's what this is, right? Second degree murder, life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 15 years. So Karen Reed is entitled to 1 peremptory per juror's act. So they have how many? 16 total jurors equals 16 peremptories, okay? And the Commonwealth is entitled to the same. So each of them gets 16 peremptories for a total of 32, right? So, but when you're going through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and you only have 16, you had to make sure you kick the right people off the jury, okay? And basically, what a peremptory challenge is that you can just say to the judge, I don't want them on the jury, and I don't have to tell you why. As long as it's not based on race, gender, sex, religion, that kind of stuff. But aside from that, and that's really hard to prove anyway. I mean, people do race-based stuff all the time. Like, that's literally how, of course they do. That's what people do. But you have to have, like, an explicit. So basically, you can kick somebody off for almost anything. Like, if you don't want somebody on, you can get them off. However, if you use them too fast, say they have all these people, I'm like, oh my God, say they're the Commonwealth, and we use, 9 quickly, because we got real problematic ones that the judge won't dismiss for cause, and we really don't want them on there. Then you only have 7 left, and you might have to fill all these seats. So what happens is, when you run out, then sometimes you get stuck with bad jurors that you don't want on your jury. So that's it for tonight. Okay, episode number 1. 2 in the box. Let's see how many we get tomorrow.